Welcome to episode 5 of RNF Unlocked, a podcast designed to give you an insight behind the scenes of the CryptoDATA RNF MotoGP team. We're back with the second leg of the triple header here at the challenge in Sachsenring circuit. We've got cloudy weather, a bit of sun, and a thrilling weekend ahead. My name is Neil Morrison. I'll be your host today, along with David Emmett, and I'm really excited to say that today we've been joined by two crew chiefs of the team. First of all, we've got Giovanni Mattarolo, Miguel Oliveira's crew chief. Hello, Giovanni.
Hello. Hello.
And we also have Noe Herrera, crew chief to Raul Fernandez. Hello, Noe.
Hello.
Welcome, guys. It's great to do a little something different here with the podcast this weekend. Obviously, we've had back-to-back races. I want to ask you first, we see riders between races when it's a back-to-back format. They're able to relax a little bit, do a little bit of training. But as crew chiefs, what do you do when you have two races so close together? Giovanni, are you able to relax at all, or is it
a lot? No, I'm joking. We find a way just to relax a bit the mind, not the body. But for the body, for us, it's not a problem. It's more a rider thing, the manage of the body. Personally, I've tried to find a way to relax a bit, spend some time with my daughter. But also, it's important we have only a few days to prepare the race. Means that you can relax, but not a lot. Just to be focused on your target, of what you have to prepare and do for the next race. Sure that considering then between Le Mans and Mugello, we had the three weeks of stopping, and that was the time to say, okay, then I have 3 races in a row. Maybe it's better to use this time just to start to think about not only Mugello but also the other 2. This permits to find some time to relax between one and the other.
So really recharge in those 3 weeks for the 3 weeks that you're coming.
Exactly.
Is it a similar thing for you, Noe?
Well, yes, it's like you said, no, we have this small break of 3 weeks that we could prepare at least in advance a little bit these 3 in a row GPs. But yes, back-to-back races, obviously we look for some relaxing time at home, which I use, for example, I take my computer in the middle of the garden. If it's sunny, I take my drink, I'm preparing the GP like this, but you never get fully
You see
disconnect.
that he takes more sun than me.
Yeah, because he's in Noale. Obviously, it helps a lot, as he said, that especially the mind, just to refresh, to relax the mind is more demanding for us for this.
It's easy to stop thinking about races because I know there's always, all of the crew chiefs, engineers I talk to, they're always thinking about, what if I try this? Or what if, and maybe under the shower or whatever, you'll have this ingenious idea or whatever. Can you sometimes just switch up and think about something completely different?
For me, impossible.
It's really difficult. I do it, but it's only something that happens only few minutes, only few moments during these 2 days of stopping.
Yeah.
Mean that you are doing something, you're playing with your daughter, you take the bike, you do something gardening or something like that. But you notice that you are playing with your daughter and you are thinking about what can I do on the bike. And daddy, and see, sorry.
So a crew chief's mind is really like a racer's mind.
But I think, it's not only crew chief. I think it's generally to all the guys that has passion for this job. You receive messages from the colleagues, from also me and Noe, text about the gearbox, what we do, what has
at any time. We have not one scale. At any time we are in touch, but always, all the time, following racing. And it's like you said, no, you are with he in his case daughter, is my son. No, I play with my son, and always. If I try that, maybe it helps somehow. And also the tires.
Send an email just to ask.
Hey, Giovanni, what do you do? About tires, no? Also, it's important to understand.
The other thing is, you are teammates. You're also rivals because the first person you have to beat is your teammate.
But it is the rider. For us, we work like.
You're much more.
I feel like we work Aprilia.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a team, and then the riders they beat themselves on the track, but. In the box, I think.
So you share ideas. You will say, okay, we tried this and I think it worked. And
From my point of view, there is no reason to hide something that I want to do or something that I think for me is. I always used to do like that. Also, previous years with the other crew chiefs, I always share my ideas, my opinion. Also, when we speak about tire pressure or something like that, for me there are no secrets.
Yeah. Finally, if he gets something new or something we can improve, it's also for us. So if he's fast, also will be helpful for us. So it's a team job, no?
Yeah. It's always sometimes you give it advice, and other times you receive the advice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, because it's the first time you're on this podcast, we have a lot of questions about you and about your careers. But before that, just a little brief summary of 2023 so far. Obviously, starting with you, Giovanni. I mean, Miguel has had such great potential. We saw him running at the front in Portimao, at Jerez. He's been seriously unlucky. How difficult has that been for you and knowing that the potential is there, but maybe the rider's physical condition isn't?
Yeah, you feel the frustration. I mean, you see from the data, from the rider, from what you did during the winter test and then the first race weekend, the potential that the rider is constant and he has a solid behavior with the bike. And then you have the first stop, then okay, you accept it, can happen, are the races. Yes, it was the first one, was not the best way to start. We'll start again. In Jerez happen another time, you say, okay, this is not what we expect. And it's difficult because just with this new format, you have not a lot of time to test, to try something on the bike. And with the less, and the most important session, when the rider learns and understands the bike better, is the main race, the longer race. And if we consider that in the first 6 races, he did 1.5 because he did Austin and fortunately only half race in Mugello. Yeah. And this for sure doesn't help. Also because we lose the Jerez test due to the crash of the race. And from now to the end of the season, we have only 1 day of a test that is Misano. This for sure doesn't help. Fortunately, Miguel is a really smart rider. And the feeling that I have is that he has a really clear idea of what is happening on the bike. And this permits to give to me, a clear feedback to which are the most important things to work on. Because if you listen to the rider, there is everything about the bike. But it's important to focus to 1 or 2 things to manage, to try to improve, and forget all the rest. And from this point of view, Miguel it helps a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. Noe, I guess we could say a similar thing about your season and with Raul. We saw in pre-season at Sepang, great potential, some really fast lap times, but 1 or 2 issues with physical condition. Injuries have been, I guess, frustrating. We haven't seen the best of Raul yet.
Yeah, honestly speaking, when we were doing the test, everything was fine. He was step by step improving, understanding the bike. But yeah, as soon as we arrived to the GPs with this new layout that is more demanding for them physically, I think it's that point then we saw the weak points of Raul, which is the body problems he had, especially in the arm. This was frustrating for him because since Portimao he crashed because of the arm. Argentina was wet, but it was slightly easier for him. Austin was already suffering. And then when we were in Jerez was the worst GP for him, which was catastrophic. Well, not catastrophic, but really demanding on the arm that we were spending too much races just for one thing that is a physical problem we could solve just operating like he did after the Jerez race. And anyway, he didn't arrive fit for Le Mans. We missed that race. But at least we know that he is fully ready. So it's positive. Just now getting again on the speed and work on that. Finally, these fine tunes that he needs to do for adapting to this bike. Because finally, if you analyze a little bit his career, he not so many time ago he was on the Moto3, one year in Moto2, 1 year in KTM, and again changed to Aprilia, which is quite different comparing to the KTM. So it's very, very demanding for him, and I feel that he's honestly a little bit stressed about that, no? And you pay on your body like happened in these few races ago.
You have quite a long history with Raul. I think you've worked with him before, so you know him. I always find the relationship between crew chief and rider so fascinating because you're engineer, you're mechanic, you're psychologist, you're friend, but also not friend. You're boss. You're also servant almost. You have to. It's such a difficult thing. How much better is it to be working with a rider that you know that you understand a little bit?
Well, it makes everything easier and quicker. Just it's like when you have very good relationship with someone. Just with taking a look like this, you understand what is happening around, or just how to understand what is happening on the bike is easy. It's much easier. And for example, we have been in 2021 together, and everything was really good. We enjoyed a lot these moments, and this relationship we had, it was growing really fast, and this helped for us for our understanding. It's really helpful for that the relationship. Yeah.
And Giovanni, obviously this is your first year working with Miguel. How long does it take normally to really understand the rider, to know exactly what they want on the bike, and I guess understanding their comments, their feedback maybe takes a little bit of time as well?
Yeah, for sure, especially on the beginning, you have to know how he explains the things, which are his most important things that he check on the bike, he needs on the bike, and how he explain the things, and how he don't say the things. I mean, many times you have to ask to the rider why you are so serious, or you don't say. You have the feeling that he doesn't say everything he is thinking, but you need to understand everything from him, and especially just until now, but also now, sorry, but especially at the beginning, I used to make a lot of questions to the rider. I told him, I know that for you are a lot, but I need to understand you and what you need, and this is really important. But fortunately, I have to say that I discovered a guy that is not so different compared to me, speaking about the behavior. And this helped me to understand when he's keeping something for himself, but I need it just to say, what are you thinking now? Because you see the rider serious or something like that, and you push him. And now I can say that weekend by weekend, I'm knowing him better and better. I cannot say I know him just like we worked together since 5 years, but our relationship is growing for me in the right way.
When you're away from the races, how much contact do you have with your riders? Are you texting them every hour or twice a week?
Oh.
In my side, it's more than my wife. Imagine. Yeah, we are really in touch. Maybe not now because we see us more often, but in the winter time it's like more than my wife. It says everything. So it's texting, calling.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about ideas for the bike, ideas about...
but also just the life itself.
Yeah. I went out for a bike ride. Did you see that? Whatever.
Yeah.
I've been watching the Giro, whatever.
Yeah, these kind of things, like friends.
Yeah.
Right.
At least it's this.
Yeah, with Miguel, a bit less than you for sure. No, I mean, normally, yes, we have. I am not the one that texts you thousands of messages every day, and also him. It's not like this. We have some messages during the days just to update him if there is something that we talk about during the previous weekend or something like that. And then we have some calls just to share what we saw, what we talk, and about the last race and what we are thinking about the next race. Just to don't arrive to the race weekend. Okay, this is my ideas. Now mine are completely different. Now we shared before, and then we talk about just as Noe said, we talk about our life.
Yeah.
For example, now Miguel is changing the house or is looking for something for the holidays. Just to don't speak only about job.
Yeah.
Just to be teammates.
Absolutely. Guys, we'll maybe come back to your riders in a little bit, but I'd love to know just a bit more about yourselves and about your career, because obviously you're both working in the same team, but your route to the RNF Aprilia team has been, they're both quite different. I mean, Giovanni, you came from a stint working in the Aprilia factory, then working for the Aprilia factory team, and now you've come here. Can you tell us just a little bit about how you've come here to this point?
Yeah, I started in Aprilia as a vehicle designer. chassis, swinging arm, fuel tanks, all what is not electronic and engine. I start from that. From there, I start as a designer, then a designer and stiffness calculation of the parts, and start to do some simulation. From that, they asked me to start to do some experience in the track. I say, okay. I start from the Italian Championship, European Championship, Superbike, and then MotoGP as a vehicle engineer. Vehicle and performance, especially when I arrived to MotoGP from 2016. I was a performance and vehicle engineer.
What exactly are you doing then? You're looking at the data and seeing what helps and what doesn't?
I was the one that was the connection between the technical office and the track, just for all the pieces, material. When we have something new, I was the one that followed the job, the test, just to understand which is the way of develop of the bike. And also check all the data, check the numbers, just to understand which was the best performance or the solution to improve the performance. From that, I moved to the test team as a crew chief and coordinator of the test team. This was in 2021 with Dovizioso. And when Maverick joined us, they asked me, okay, now you move with Maverick. I come back to the World Championship. It was middle of 2021. I was the crew chief of Maverick until the end of last year, and then I moved to RNF with Miguel.
Interesting path. And Noe, I guess you kind of, as David said, you've been working with Raul in the past when he was in the junior categories. You had some great experience with Aki's team in Moto3 and Moto2.
Yeah, both.
And then I think Razlan, he saw what you were doing, he liked what you were doing, and he recruited you last year, maybe in a way to try and get Raul to come here eventually. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about your career as well?
Many of these last years, a lot of years I have been with Aki, from Moto3, Moto2. This, obviously, step by step I was growing. Aki trusted on me a lot, so I could make some good professional steps, becoming important in the team. Then we joined with Raul, which we had an incredible season. And yes, as you said, Razlan, obviously, he wanted Raul because he's a really nice guy, but also he's a really good rider. And he was wishing to have him on his lineup last year in Yamaha. And yes, I was lucky that Razlan trusted on me especially, and he gave me the choice just to join his team, to try to at least have me, and then in the future maybe if we can put his team that he wanted to have, which has happened this year, to be enjoying with him together in MotoGP class. Yes, it's true.
Giovanni, the switch from working in the factory to the race team is a totally different life choice.
Yeah.
You go from, I mean, it's not 9 to 5, but you're going in the morning, and it's at the end of the day you go home and you see your wife and your child. Mm-hmm. To being away a lot, traveling a lot, always being. Why did you want to make the switch to racing?
I understood that was something that I like when I started to do. Just at the beginning, I was still a designer, and I did a few races in the Italian Championship, a World Championship of Superbike. Means that was only 8 to 10 weekends in a year that you manage. Then from that, I started to grow as a track technician, and I discovered that it was something that I did quite good. I said, okay, could be interesting. In the same time, I always thought that was, for how I am, was difficult for me to stay all the days always in the same place.
Yeah.
And this helped me to go out from this situation. And sincerely, for me now, it's difficult to think that I could come back and stay always in the office. It's something that... Maybe I don't want to do a life like this until I finish my experience, but for now is what I want to do.
And Noe, I mean, can you talk a little bit about the jump up from working on a Moto2 machine to MotoGP? Obviously, MotoGP is so much more sophisticated and there's a lot more things to think about. I mean, can you tell us about that?
Yeah. I had really on the table the offer to arrive to MotoGP. My hand was completely shaking because when you are almost, it's your dream, obviously, no, to arrive to MotoGP. But when you are already there to sign that you will be the responsible for this bike, you need to really be sure that you are able to do that, to be on the level. And yeah, comparing to Moto2 is a good bike. I think it's a very good bike for everyone. I mean, and for riders and also for technicians to understand a heavy bike, how it works, the tire management, these kind of things. But especially MotoGP, there is a lot of electronics, which is in another world. So for me, it was quite demanding at the beginning just to realize and understand all the electronics we have around, which it's much more important that sometimes change the shock on the rear. So just to understand that was quite demanding. I spent a lot of hours just to every single change to understand what is happening on the things. But yeah, it's a huge step, especially for electronics. Tire management could be quite acceptable because finally in the Moto2 you have also this. But yeah, MotoGP is really, really demanding. It's really nice. It's obviously a dream for everyone. Sometimes we forget about this, but we are one of the 22 crew chiefs in the World Championship, so we should be proud of it. Sometimes we forget, but it's true that we have a really big responsibility on that. Yeah.
I guess a lot of your job, this is a question to both of you, is about making sure everybody in the team knows exactly what they're supposed to do. I mean, that must take a lot of preparation before we start the on-track action on a Friday morning. Can you tell us a little bit about how you prepare for P1? Obviously, you already know tire combinations, you already know what gearing you're going to be using. You've done all this preparation before P1 starts. Giovanni?
Yeah.
How's it?
Yeah, you start to think about the weekend, as we said before, just weeks before the event. In part, you use the experience that you create race by race, week by week, also knowing the team which you are working. Obviously, especially for me this year, that I start with a completely new team with some British guys, some that you have also the language that you have to manage, and it's not like last year. I always spoke Italian with all my colleagues. This year, never.
So now your English is much better as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I always say to my colleagues, please correct me when I do a big mistake. If it's small, please, not necessary, but if it's big, could help me. No, and I share my talks with the guys that work direct with me, with Andy, that he's my electronic guys. I have Matteo, that is the suspension technician. Also with the performance department of Operator Racing, just to share the situation, the characteristic of the track and what could be necessary, and also checking what happens the previous years in the same track. Speaking about tires, gearbox, rider comments, and problems, solution, and that kind of things. And then just to try to be as much as possible clear and with the right organization of the job, just to that all the guys, the mechanics and so on, knows what you want to do just to start, which could be the scenario, the options during the session, during the day, and the targets.
Absolutely. And Noe, is it a similar thing for you?
Yeah, really similar. Finally, the preparation pre-event is like this. Maybe we organize differently, but for example, I take first, for me, the main thing is just to analyze properly the tires, what we expect, what is happening, what will happen, temperatures, because it's really important for the tires, but also the weak points of the previous GP we had on the bike, how to analyze to improve them just for the next, and also, as he said, the previous experience that you had in this circuit, don't take this idea for this. It takes, electronics also on the side. We have Danny my side, which we are together always analyzing what we can do. Also the torque used on this track is different, for example, for Mugello, so you need to be precise in every single part, just like a list, checking everything just to be in advance, as he said. Many scenarios that can happen, but you need to be advanced, like drain is basic also. You take care of every single.
You make a good point, Noe, about the torque requirements here being a bit different to Mugello.
Yeah.
It's such a huge contrast from a big, long, incredibly fast track to a tight track where really it just comes down to who can make the rear tyre last the longest. Is this the biggest change? Is this the biggest change in setup? And how do you change in your minds to go from, okay, we were at this crazy fast track and now we're at this really tight track?
Well, this is the job of obviously the rider. No? They need to swap immediately the mentality, because now we come from Mugello and now this tiny small track is completely different. Also, imagine in that track we had the gearbox which was really long because of fast speeds. So you are using all the power of the bike.
If you do 370 kilometers in an hour here, you end up in Berlin.
So it's the understanding GP is very important, but it's more related to the riders to understand and to manage this situation on the bike than us. We know exactly on the numbers, we can see on the screen and the lines and this, but finally who is on the bike on the track is a rider. Okay, you need to buy a scheme, just this, but they know clearly because by year they understand these things. So yeah.
Do you change the bike a lot between Mugello and Sachsenring, or is it still the same base journey?
These are secrets. No, I'm joking. No, normally not because it was Mugello and this is Sachsenring, but generally I like to give to the rider one bike that is his reference.
Yeah.
Is the one that we finished the previous race or close to that.
Yeah.
And another one, if we think that it makes sense, we prepare a proposal. Just to
so
check.
FP1, you go out with a bike very close to the one which he got off at the last race, and then another one which is slightly different, which might work better in a
exactly. Considering, as I said before, that you see what you did in the previous years in the same circuit, the comments, so on. You say, okay, I think that this could be a solution. Just to take understand the direction with this format, you have no time. Means that in FP1 you have to do the best job as possible to understand which is the direction to take with the bike.
And you can't wait for FP2 for that. You have to know straight away.
You would like to. You cannot say every time I finish FP1 that I have a clear idea of what I need. No.
You can change even in warm-up. In warm-up sometimes you change.
Exactly. It happens that, if you change something in warm-up means that you are really in trouble.
A little bit late.
But it happens.
Or
you say, we did a good sprint race, but we would like to do more. We try and sprint warm-up. If he likes, we keep. If not, we have the bike of the sprint race. It's something that you can never stop to try something on the bike, because you have no time and you have thousands of things that you can do on the bike.
Does the bike change a lot between the sprint race and the main race, or is it just a little bit
no.
more or less the same, bigger fuel tank? Remember to put the right fuel tank in.
No, the biggest difficult thing is the tire management with this format, because you have one session less, and you have to push like an L every run, just to try to stay on the first 10 positions.
Guys, I just have one more question for you both. It's about your expectations for the next two races. Giovanni, obviously Miguel is still making a comeback from the shoulder injury that he sustained at Jerez. Left shoulder injury. This is an anti-clockwise track with a lot of left corners. Maybe this weekend could be tough physically for Miguel. How do you see it?
Yeah, for sure it will be tough. Maybe not as Mugello, because he's improving day by day. It's not a matter of pain, it's more a matter of force. Because staying with an arm blocked for 1 month, he didn't train a lot. And this is the most difficult thing. And in a track where on the 13 corners there are 10 on left, will be something to manage. But my expectation or my targets are always to try to find the solution to do our best. And with this kind of rider, I know that our best is a really good result every weekend. Could be a really good result every weekend. We saw in Portimao, we saw in Jerez, we saw in Austin that the potential of bike and riders are really good. And we know that we are not on the rider doesn't know perfectly the bike, and the bike is still not perfect for the rider. We are still working on it. But the target, as I said, is try to stay as in front as possible.
Okay. Noe, what about you? Obviously, Raul coming back from his arm pump surgery. Had a complicated weekend in Mugello. How do you see this race?
Yeah, about the arm surgery for us is done. Is part of the past for us. So we forget about the arm. But yeah, it's true that in Mugello he had 2 big crashes on Saturday. We paid a lot on the races. He was suffering a lot of pain on the neck and also on the head. He was sick on the bike. He was vomiting also. So it was a tough weekend for him, but this time we feel that he's improving day by day. He's recovering, so we hope we can be growing again and be close to the top 10, and hopefully his body is 100% or 120%.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's hope for the best, guys. So that wraps up this episode of RNF Unlocked. We've heard it from the crew chiefs themselves, and we hope this has been and offered some good insights about the team. Fingers crossed for a great weekend, guys, for the CryptoDATA RNF MotoGP team in Germany. And thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Giovanni, for joining us.
Thank you to you. Thank you very much.
And thank you also to you, Noe.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure as well for us as well. So we'll return next week with the final run before the summer break with more exclusive chat with the team. So see you soon. Subscribe for more episodes and please comment here on what you would like to hear about the team in the next episodes of RNF Unlocked.